I think what's one of the things I'm passionate about is people knowing what meds they're on and why and the dose. Because there's so much lost. There's just so much lost in translation because they're not doctors, they're not nurses, they're not in medical, but it is a language that they get to be familiar with because it's their health, and I want to implore responsibility, that it's your health is your responsibility, and it is a lot. It is a lot. You won't go through it alone, but you want to know the name of the pill you're putting in your mouth every day. You want to know what the common side effects are. You want to know, not so that you can focus on them psychologically, but so you can be empowered.
Hi, I'm Dr. Monica Harrigi, and welcome to Truly Healthy MD. I have one question for you. What's really behind the way you feel? As a functional medicine doctor, I'm passionate about helping you uncover the hidden causes of your health concerns and finally connecting the dots. From balancing hormones to overcoming Lyme disease, boosting brain health, or just finding new ways to feel your best every day. This podcast is packed with insights and strategies to help you take control of your health and live fully. Ready to explore what's possible and be truly healthy? Hi, today on Truly Healthy MD, we have a special guest, Dr. Khan. She is a board-certified internal medicine doctor, MD, just like I am. She has over 16 years of experience. She says her philosophy is simple. She says when your inner world matches your outer one, everything changes. She focuses on holistic health, mind, body, and soul. And she believes this is a transformation comes from commitment and not shortcuts. When we first met, we had a lot in common because I also started out in hospitals all the time, and she's also working in hospitals, watching patients with these preventable conditions, diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and we hate to see that continue. And so I know personally, I found myself in the wellness space, functional integrated medicine, lifestyle medicine because of that. And so I'm so happy to have Dr. Khan here. She's was born in Southern California, has Pakistani roots. She's the first doctor in her family. She also has a passion for helping others start when they're young. Her family called her the little grandmother for her caring nature. So I'm super excited about this conversation. Thank you, Dr. Khan, for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. What a lovely introduction. This is disclaimer, the first time I've done this. So it's a little new for me. Thank you
Yeah,
for
well, hopefully you'll feel super comfortable. And I know that our listeners have given us such great feedback about they just like hearing from experts that can tell them really actionable items, really important things. My listeners are all interested in lifestyle medicine, integrative functional medicine. And I love that you and I can be the sources of information direct from us to them at no cost to them for listening to these podcasts. So I love doing this and educating. And so all of my guests so far have been super comfortable talking about all this stuff. So hopefully you'll be super happy with it too. And I'm sure that our listeners will be thrilled to learn from you. So I always think interviews go better when we learn more about the person. Like I said, I know that you're an internal medicine physician, you worked in hospitals. We have a lot of parallels there. We've also, from what we've seen day after day in internal medicine, we're like, okay, there has to be a better way, right? So tell me more about, your transition from what they teach us in internship and residency. It's like a pill for every ill sort of mentality to, hey, let's do more lifestyle based. What was that transition point in your life where you decided to do that?
that's a great question. I think the stuff that I was seeing in the hospitals was really bothering me as a hospitalist. And as much as I knew I was making a difference in the moments, it got to a point where I was like, I wish people knew so many things sooner. And I actually started to write down a list called No One Ever Told Me. And it was like a healthy list of rants where people didn't tell me these things about actually becoming a doctor. So so it was like people didn't tell me I was going to be mistaken for anything else than a doctor. That I would be mistaken for the nurse, the respiratory tech, the therapist, the social worker, like
Oh
everything.
yeah,
Nina,
every day.
that resonates with you too, because in the hospitals, it's like a little family environment, a little community. So, I think I wouldn't really say that I like shifted majorly in my practice of medicine. I'm still a traditional gold standard classic internal medicine. I have a mentor who's pretty traditional bread and butter. I'm a traditional internist. I wouldn't align myself with an integrative or functional medicine doctor. I think I love all of the, it's like everyone has their own lanes, but I do think that internal medicine, and that's what I'm here to actually promote, that classic medicine does work. It does. Systems may be broken, but medications work. The way we studied in medical school and the way we practice, it works. And so I'm not really here to do anything differently. I'd say I'm here to promote what I've learned, but I think communication, and I would just say that what led me to leave a hospital work environment and to do primary care, which essentially it's just a different work setting. It's like a different set. Like when you're an actor, it's like whether you work on a
Yeah.
farm or in a house, you're kind of like still working, right? But
Mhm.
the what I'd say I've learned is that my role in the system is actually to educate and empower in a way that people feel seen and heard, like human to human. And I guess no one ever told me, another one's coming up right now, but like no one ever
Yeah.
told me it's okay to be a human first as a doctor
Yep.
and as like a medical student, a resident, and first year attending, second year attending. It's like there's almost a little bit of a front you have to put up, and you can't really just say, hey, well, this is my first year as an attending, so I don't remember the exact diet you're supposed to be on for diverticulitis. Like, let me look it up, or whatever. Like the connection um,
Mhm.
of it. That's really the side of me that I'm developing, as opposed to just whatever, right?
If you like this discussion, please hit the subscribe button and consider leaving us a review. It really helps people find us, and we truly appreciate your support. Yeah, and that's so great that, I think we all go through those developmental stages. We may not be as aware of us going through it. A lot of us go through where like we feel imposter syndrome or we think of changing careers, but it sounds like you're very self-aware of like where you are in each of those um, parts of your life. It's part of becoming a doctor. It takes a very long time for us to become who we are as physicians, and um, absolutely, that's part of why we develop into who we are, right?
Yeah, I think the turning point for me was actually a personal development course that I took in 2018. It was pretty intense, but it taught me that I'm like way more than my identity as a doctor. And I appreciate you like acknowledging me for the self-awareness, because that is a huge piece. And I think the more aware I am, the more aware people around me can see themselves. And so that's a huge piece for doctors and patients, because it's not calling it a coach or a therapist or whatever. Like I'm still a medical doctor, but the training, the social, the psychosocial aspects of being a medical doctor are things that I'm just learning with experience, with time, with other programs, with books, with podcasts, with research. And there's certain things that like strike a chord, where so yeah, it's just I don't know. Do you have you ever had those moments where you grew as a physician and like and just kind of like, oh, that wasn't part of my medical training, but this is part of my human like existence
Oh,
here?
yeah, there is so much, and there's so much that I continue to learn from peers and mentors, and I have new mentors each year as I grow. I need new mentors to fill in those things the areas in which I need to grow. So I think it's a continuous growth thing as a physician, knowing that you're growing as a human being always. I mean, I learned so much from my patients, and not just about medicine, but about being a human being. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. So
And
you're doing right now, you're a retired hospitalist as well.
yes, I'm a recovering hospitalist is what I tell people. I try not to relapse.
I have very fond memories of, running codes and it's intense. It's wonderful to be there when people need you the most. They're having the worst day of their lives. We're diagnosing them with cancer in the front lines. We're treating people when they're dying. It's such a cool feeling to be able to help them, but at the same time, it's extremely taxing as a human being to be in that day in and day out. So there's not all hospitalists have very long careers. I know some of them do. My career was just a decade long, but that was long enough. I do miss it, but I think it taught me so much that I can now bring to my own private practice now and tell people I learned so much from my experiences. I do feel personally, and as physicians, we do have all this experience that no one else in the world does. And when we bring it back to patients, it's like, okay, I know that I don't know anything. I know I don't know everything. I know I do know something. I'm not, as vast as Google, but my experience will, uh, help us in this journey together. So I hope
Totally.
people understand that.
Experience translates into good outcomes and good communication. And you know that saying that by Maya Angelou, like everyone will forget what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. They'll forget the words, but they'll remember the feeling. And
Absolutely.
and that's the same thing with the doctor and a patient. Like it's the most valuable relationship out there. I mean, I know mothers and kids and that's a really important relationship, but the relationship you have with someone when your health is breaking down it's just built on so much trust. And I don't take that lightly. I know when I don't know, like you're saying, like I know when I don't know and I'll ask and then
Yeah.
we'll get through it. Whatever it is, we'll get through it together. But also sometimes that leads to like not working together because it's just not there. And there's no right and wrong for that. It's just like, okay, this wasn't a good fit. So let's let's find someone who is a good fit for you. I'll help you with that transitioning and all that. But at the same time, I kind of just know who I am. And the whole phrase of like, physician, heal thyself, I've been on
Mhm.
that journey, I'd say, for a while now. And so that's created a lot more openings. I'm building a brand as a social media doctor, and I'm building like a whole persona on who I wish I had when I was dealing with health conditions or my family was dealing with health conditions. Like people don't really, there's a lot of mistrust out there.
There
And
is.
I don't know if it's distrust or mistrust, whatever it's called, but
Yeah.
it's like if you're not like neighbors or family, friends, or like someone's uncle knows some doctor, like if it's not a community connection, they probably or if you're not referred by someone who had a great outcome, like it's like a steep road to trust. And I just think that there's so much. How do you build trust with someone in such short period of time? You know, it's trust is built consistency over time. And so
Fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, weight gain. If you're a woman in your 40s to 70s, you've probably been told that it's just aging. But what if it's not? At trulyhealthymd.com, we look deeper. Hormones, nervous system health, hidden toxicities. You're not broken. You just need a doctor who really listens. Visit trulyhealthymd.com and book a consultation today. It's time to feel like your real self again. Yeah, and it's hard. It is hard for the general public to uh, trust what they hear because they're going to hear 10 different things when they're on Facebook. They're going to hear something from, their best friend who had one experience, something from somebody else that's probably just trying to sell them something. But since their marketing is really good, they sound like they're a medical expert when they're not. And then they're hearing something from a physician that just doesn't line up with what they hear elsewhere. And it's really difficult for people to know what to trust. I think, well, I know that one of my passions is to bring the trust that the public has in the whole medical system back. I'm very happy that Google's out there, that people can self-advocate, that there's, a lot of people who are trained as health coaches that can assist people in many things, but the medical professions of MDs and DOs, they cannot be replaced by any number of these things. We probably do need to um, evolve as a medical community to better help our patients in what they're going through right now, all these chronic conditions. It's not okay that we have so many people that are uh, obese and have diabetes and are dying of loneliness. Uh,
Oh my,
but
yeah. I just
it's
posted. Yeah.
yeah,
The
absolutely. But
Surgeon General issued
it's
a warning.
something that as a medical community we need to uh, be aware of and grow towards that, and not just say, hey, the public has a ton of mistrust, that's their problem, not mine. No, it's both of our problems. We need to grow together. um, and as you were saying earlier, you're not a functional doctor, you're not an integrative doctor, which is makes you very different from most of the people that are on my podcast. Most of us, we even though we are very proud of our conventional roots. Like, I'm an internist. I will tell everybody first and foremost I'm an internist, and then I'm anything else, in the medical field. Um, but I love it that you're 100% conventional and you're like, but I still know that this lifestyle stuff is right. So I love it that you
Oh yeah.
are, even though you don't think that
It's
you're,
50.
integrative, you are, because you're bringing the lifestyle part into
It's what it is. It's 50-50, right? It's just the nuanceness of words. It's not anything different, right? It's just labeling and words and the boxes. It's like, those artists that are, singers and they go, "Oh, well, I can't fit my music in a brand. There's no
Mhm.
genre for me." I was like, "But I'm classic. I'm traditional. I trust medications. I trust the institutions, the guidelines work."
Yeah,
Not that they don't,
absolutely.
unfortunately, there are nuances with big systems like the government, like education, like food, every large system, politics, health. It's not that it doesn't work, it's that it's a system-wide large entity. And, I definitely I'm one of the people that are more on the side of caution. I do see the value of physicians sharing the risks, but I'm not going to hide the benefits by scaring people with the risks. For example, my grandma was getting a colonoscopy. She was getting a colonoscopy. It was like a screening colonoscopy, but she just so the GI doctor that was doing her scope at my mom took her, and he just, the way he was like, you might end up with a colostomy bag, things may not, there are risks with
Yeah,
colonoscopy. And
absolutely.
genuine guy, like good doctor going through the risks. But like my grandma had prepped and she's in the gown, she's in the um endoscopy suite, and my mom FaceTimes me and she says, your grandma doesn't want to do it anymore because she
Oh
says she
yeah.
doesn't want to end up with a colostomy. She doesn't want to die. And I was like, oh my God, let me just like talk to her. And I was like, hey, BB, everything's gonna be fine. And I said, Mom, do you think the doc's around? I could FaceTime with him. And then she did. And I did. And I said, I'm an internist, like I'm primary care. So I was a hospitalist. So instantly that rapport was established. So it's not even just the rapport that patients need to have with the doctors, but that doctors need to have with the patients. Like you were saying, that as soon as I shared, we had a common ground of like, hey, no, we get but my grandma, she's just old. She's just a worrywart. So and my mom said that when he came back in the room, he was all smiles and he was just like a different person. And he was like, everything's gonna be fine. I've never had a complication. I've been doing this for 20 years. I was like, if you lead with that, lead with everything's gonna be okay. It's not so much that you're promising someone a good outcome, but you're generally affirming their health and their trust and their belief. And I did a lot of work on affirmations. I did a lot of work. I do believe that physician heal thyself is a huge, powerful resource that a lot of docs aren't really tapping into. Um, and it's more of a personal growth thing, and it's different for everyone, but just leading with that. And my grandma was fine, she was so happy to do it. She was like, okay, let's get this done. She was prepped and everything, and nothing happened. But when we lead from fear mongering, when we lead from risks, when we lead from this is, it's terrible, it's broken, the energy is pessimistic, it's dragging, it's fear-based, it's not like open-hearted, health-based, like love forward, good outcomes. Let's get this done. We're gonna get through this. And there's some really crappy diseases happening to really young people who don't deserve it. But there's a lot of crappy things happening all over the world. We just can't, it's not gonna be helpful to focus on it.
Excellent. And so, so you and I are both, like we said, internists, and we feel very strongly about having these pillars of what patients should be doing:
Yes.
exercise, nutrition, social connection. What would your message be to other physicians who just haven't found their way yet in, we get so caught up in learning all the medications and the guidelines that we kind of forget to uh, plug back into, how
Yeah.
do we counsel our patients with exercise, nutrition, all this stuff? What would your message be to physicians who just haven't found a way to um, put those two together in their practice?
That's awesome. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, it's interesting. The pillars of well-being or the pillars of wellness or whatever we call them, they're actually world recognized by the World Health Organization and by Johns Hopkins. So many reputable organizations, Stanford, everyone has the pillars of well-being, right? Or the pillars of wellness or whatever it
Yeah,
is called,
absolutely.
longevity optimization. And so it's sleep, exercise, nutrition, social connection, and mental health or stress management, the last one. Of course, there's a sixth topic or pillar, which is like avoid risky behavior, risky behavior like driving really fast without your seatbelt or not wearing sunscreen or kind
Yeah,
of over drinking and smoking and those kind of like almost like just basic kind of the invisible sixth pillar that we don't
be
talk
safe,
about,
be
but
safe.
is like
Yeah,
super important. Yeah, be safe, be safe. But I would say for physicians to heal thyself and therefore in help heal others, it would be really like a responsible place of when I'm sleeping well, when I have a strong foundation for well-being, when I have great sleep consistency and I turn off the lights and turn off when I'm focused on my well-being, only then can anyone around me, including your patients, be there's no such thing as doctors smoking cigarettes. Like, come on, that's just not, it's like a thing, but it's not that they're not helping their patients. It's just that there's some deeper work, right? And so they're helping, but also while slowly killing themselves. It's a little bit of a oxymoron or a um, paradox, a little hypocritical. How can you tell people don't smoke while you're smoking? It's very, very basic.
you got to walk the walk sometimes.
Yeah, I just, it's, I mean, most of the time, yeah. So I would just say, focusing on the pillars ourselves would be the biggest takeaway. Sleep is the foundation, exercise regularly, eat clean, mostly plants, like doesn't have to be everything, just eat clean. Um, the social connection, which I've recently been doing so much research for my social media. I've learned so much creating content. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
It's really fun and I enjoy it so much. But social connection, women live longer than men statistically. And I think it's because we're community oriented beings. We're socially connected as women. We face each other when we talk. Jane Fonda says it so well. She says women face each other when we talk. We ask you, how are you doing? How are things? How's work? But man, they generally sit side by side. They sit shoulder to shoulder and they watch something. They watch sports, they watch cars, they watch women, whatever they're watching, but they're outwardly faced instead of facing each other. That's generically, like, that's not everyone, but women live longer. And I think it's because we're social beings. We're all social beings, but women are a little more community oriented and generally the head of social communities. And then the last pillar is mental stress or mental health, stress awareness, which is, I'd arguably say, like, exercise is the most powerful longevity drug, quoted by Peter Attia, Dr. Peter Attia.
mhm, yeah,
Exercise is the most powerful longevity drug. Sleep is the foundation. And then mental health and stress management is the invisible one, right? You can't tangibly say, I slept 8 hours, like it's the invisible pillar. So I'd arguably say it's like, if not more important than exercise, it's equally important as exercise because we don't know what we don't know. And if a lot of people are asking you, hey, are you stressed? Or like, hey, it's all good? And you're going, no, nothing to be stressed about. Like no one died. But the more people that are asking you, like everything's feedback. So when you can see yourself in other people, you go, why does everyone keep asking me if I'm stressed or if I'm good or if I'm sleeping well or whatever? It's like it's a sign. It's just okay, so how am I really doing? And it takes some bravery and courage to really sit down with oneself to say, am I happy? Am I working? Am I doing the things I want to do? Am I spending the time the way I want to spend it? So even at the beginning of this call, when we were getting ready for when we met each other, we kind of like we had a little intimate connection, right? Where we kind of just like talked openly, like what's been happening, how I'm showing up, because we could see ourselves in each other. And so I think that connection between doctor and patient is something so valuable that I've tapped in on. And I can honestly say my job got easier when I harnessed that skill.
Yeah. That's amazing. And the way that I assume you practice with as much as I know, and the way that I know that we practice in integrative medicine, trying to bring in more lifestyle factors and work on those pillars is definitely, it has to be the future of medicine. We can't keep going down the road we've been going down, and with people getting sicker and sicker each year and life expectancy actually dropping, right, year after year. Um, we need to turn a corner and integrate more of these things into more of conventional medicine. So what do you do in your practice to integrate these pillars and help patients um, be healthier?
I ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions because I've also learned that I don't know what I don't know, especially what's important to somebody else. Like if they don't want to talk about their mental health, if they don't want to talk about, I'm not going to like harp on this is the emotional space you need to be in or whatever. I ask a lot of questions and I ask what their goals are, what their concerns are. A lot of people, when they come into my office, they go, so you sit whatever, like hello, how are blah blah blah, and then I read a really interesting statistic that doctors interrupt patients after I can't remember the number, but it's a ridiculously short amount of time. Like
Yeah, or like 3 words or something like that. We're like, are you
it's
sure?
a short amount of time.
Not being
So
for real. I've heard it too. I'm like, wait, what?
yeah, so I ask a question like what brings you in or like what can I do for you today or something open-ended question and I let them go. And I sit and I'm present and I'm not typing on my computer or whatever. I'm making eye contact, I'm listening. I try to keep a neutral pose in my body because body language is so loud. Dr. Monica, it's so loud, right? You can always tell who someone's being by how they're sitting or what they're doing with their hands or where their eyes are. And so I let them go and I do my best to be as neutral and then when they pause or they stop or then I'll keep like reiterating the last few words, which is something I learned in acting class. If you really want someone to open up, you parallel. It's a negotiation tactic too, but you say exactly what they're the last few words of what they're saying. So it sounds like you really want to lose weight. And then they go, and then they open up even more. And then they go, oh my God, yeah, I've tried like this. And so it's just communication styles and techniques. So to get my patients on the track they want to be on, I ask a lot of questions. And then I do introduce the framework of I call it SENSM, SENSM, sleep,
Okay.
exercise, nutrition, social connection, and mental health.
Mhm.
SENSM. I do introduce that framework. Well, only if there's an opening. I don't try to bombard them. I bring it up, and when I can see someone's eyes light up, they go, "Oh, I like that. Like we can work together on that thing." I ask them to choose one pillar, and then make one tangible commitment. And like I am committed to blank by blank. It has to be time sensitive. There has to be a SMART goal. I don't know if are you familiar with SMART goals?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Um, measurable, yeah.
yeah, specific, measurable,
Specific,
attainable,
measurable.
relative, and time specific. And
Exactly. I knew that. I just forgot 4 letters.
no, all good. It's one of those ones, and I maybe said it wrong, but it's just like it's got to be a specific, tangible, actionable result that we can measure. That way, like you either slept 8 hours a night or you didn't. It's like you either ate Doritos or you didn't, and not that it's right or wrong, but just we can learn from our game. It's basically a game. So we play a game of Sensum and we calculate did we lose, did we win, what did we learn? But it does matter whether you win or you lost. I don't believe that like as a when you're coaching a team, you can always learn, but the results do matter. And the results of our life are the amount of money we have in the bank, the amount of health that we have, not in a bad way where if you have bad health and you're a bad person inside, but in a responsible way where we're living responsibly. Like, was I eating, binge drinking, whatever? Was I, or was I living a good, authentic life? And this is the result. What am I meant to learn from here?
Excellent. And I'm sure that your patients love you and are super satisfied with their care, because what's better than a doctor that actually listens to your real concerns and gives you a good, very good framework to work with, very actionable items. So I'm sure you have 5 stars, but what about your own life? Have you felt your personal satisfaction with your career change after you changed the way you practice medicine, going from, you and I were both talking about how we loved being hospitalists, but it's a hard lifestyle, and not all hospitalists have the best mental health themselves. It's very stressful. Um, how have you seen that shift now that you practice medicine differently?
Um, Yeah, it's huge. Like I said, it's like it's from when I'm healed, when I'm taking care of myself, then yeah, I think your question's like, and thank you for saying that my patients love me, some don't, because it's not for everyone. I've also
Well,
learned
you have to be, yeah, there's,
I've learned that I'm not for everyone. That's like a
that's
test.
true. Absolutely, yeah.
Not for everyone.
You have to be legitimate, and you have to set your boundaries and keep them, and not everybody will like that. But for the patients that are right for you, let's say, and not everybody's going to be right for you. Not
Yeah,
everybody's going to be right for your
yeah,
practice.
I do
So
my best, but at the
those
same
people
time,
that are right for your practice, I'm sure they love having a doctor that's they're like, this is somebody that I can trust. She's obviously knows her stuff. She's done her work. She's been in school for many years, worked in the hospital, and she's still, very grounded and telling me these things. So I'm sure that any patient would prefer to see you than somebody who, the physician that just feels out of control, that they don't have
overwhelmed, out of control,
manage,
can't
yeah,
do
their own
anything, staring at
schedule,
the
everything.
computer, like, yeah, and I would say the tools that I use, like the AI scribes, that have that's like game changing for progress notes. Oh, also another thing I love to do is empower people to create a note on their iPhone. And I know everyone has access to their own records through all the portals that we have, but I recommend, we all spend so much time on our phones. So I
Mhm.
implore people to open a note on their phone and call it like, Monica's chart, or like, and then, date created, date updated, put your care team, who's my PCP, who's my, reproductive endocrinologist, who's my GI doc, who's my last seen, and then like, the to-do list right at the top, and then create a little note in the structure the way you and I are familiar with which means active medications, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the name, the dose, the duration, what I'm taking it for. I think that's one of the things I'm passionate about is people knowing what meds they're on and why, and the dose. Because there's just so much lost in translation, because they're not doctors, they're not nurses, they're not in medical, but it is a language that they get to be familiar with, because it's their health. And I want to implore responsibility, that it's your health is your responsibility. And it is a lot. It is a lot. You won't go through it alone, but you want to know the name of the pill you're putting in your mouth every day. You want to know what the common side effects are. You want to know, not so that you can focus on them psychologically, but so you can be empowered. So I feel like I went off on a tangent, but it
No,
was going back
that's all
to
part of the conversation. Definitely, I think it's part of the conversation that we're having. What's a better way for us to practice as physicians, as MDs, as internists? That's better for patients. That's better for us. That's better for the entire health system. For our country, like, what's better than having healthier people in our country, right? That aren't going to be admitted to the hospital every time they have a
uh,
COPD exacerbation.
yeah,
So
yeah. And then there's some people that just want to go to the urgent care instead of their PCP. They just want it now, and that's something that
it's a
I have
cultural
too.
thing, yes.
Yeah, I have that too. Like, do I want to wait a week and a half to see my PCP, or do I want to just go get what I need? Especially because I'm a physician. But there is that timeliness of like the social media era where we want things now.
Mhm.
The
That instant
store
gratification
dash
now,
delivery.
and social media and shopping online, you know, you can same day delivery. It's like, what?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how do you talk with your patients when you're covering a lot of Texas territory? And so, what are some of the common, I guess, questions you get as an internist and as a integrative functional medicine doctor?
Yeah, it's like something that I have to continue to refine every day with how my patient population shifts. So I went into the integrative space in 2019, and I just like from one day to the next, I just stopped my hospital work and I was like, okay, I'm gonna open my clinic. And so I kind of had to learn on the job. But it's a lot of understanding what they need first, and that way I can frame it in the way that they can understand. Because sometimes we have preconceived notions as to what people we think people are coming with, what they think they need from us, but we need to really be open to understanding where they're at and how we can help them the best. So it's you know it's different in every
Would you say what are like
person.
the top three things that you feel like, oh, this is the same topic, or we're talking about the same thing?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I do have a lot of structured things that I want my patients to understand. I have, you know, my own webinar series and video of libraries because of video library of videos. Sorry, I said that backwards because education is super important. And I have a health coach that works with me with every single patient. Because yeah, the basic things, I would say the basic things that is affecting everybody's health, no matter who you are, is that we are living in a toxic environment. We put, um, self-care products on ourselves. We're eating pesticides, we're breathing in polluted air, and all of that does affect our health. We don't know how to measure it very well as a scientific community just yet, but being aware of that and that increased load that our cells have to take on with all the hormone disruptors out there. That is something that I talk about with every patient. Two is making sure that your gut health is as good as possible because a lot of people are very aware that they have to have good diets, but you're not just as good as what you eat, what you put on your plate, you're as good as what you absorb. And if you have bad gut health and you spent $100 at Whole Foods for a meal and you're not going to absorb it, that's super important. So I would say that's number two aspect that I focus in a lot on. And number three, all the things that are not pills. I think when people see me as an integrative physician, they think that I'm going to take them off their blood pressure medicine and put them on an herb for that. And that's not what integrative medicine is. It's all the other things that keep you from needing a pill in the first place. All the lifestyle modifications and stress management, everything that's not substituting one pill with another. I love that I know so much more about herbs than I did when I was just doing conventional medicine now. And I like to offer that to my patients to have a wider toolbox. But again, not everything's a pill. I think I would be a failure as an integrative doctor if somebody walked in my office with a handful of pharmaceuticals and walked out with the same number of pills, just over the counter stuff. That's herbs, right? That's not what we do. We need to find the root causes of stuff and help people heal so they don't depend on us and on pills.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. The first one that you mentioned about the toxic environment that we live in, that was frightening. You know, what my question is, do you how so because of that, knowing all those things, and that's how we live in this environment, how do you mitigate that for your own life? Like what how do you
Yeah,
take
that's like one of like the main things that I educate all my patients on. I give them examples from my own life because I had to learn this as, you know, as a person growing up in the 80s and 90s, and we were all eating trans fat and we had no awareness of the types of things that are still in a lot of our products. And so telling people about, when it's important to eat organic, pulling up the EWG .org website and at least being aware of which foods are those that are going to contribute more to your health and not contribute to toxic burden. Don't be eating tuna every day because it's going to have mercury in it, no matter where you get that tuna. Being as aware of the low-hanging fruit are things that not only I feel like have changed my health a lot and have really resolved my, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, things that I didn't think would ever go away. They've gone away completely. And it
How did
wasn't by
what was the
or
change that
pills.
you made?
What's that?
What was the change that you made?
It was a lot of stuff. I had to definitely get, on a better sleep schedule, not overschedule myself, get more exercise in, more self-care, eat better. But one of the main things was adding less toxins to my body, making sure that my water was, not drinking out of like hot plastic water bottles, which have all those BPA's in them. Filtering my water. I have a reverse osmosis system that I drink out of. Making sure that I knew which fruits and vegetables needed to be bought organic and which ones didn't make a big difference. My cosmetics, making sure they didn't have phthalates and parabens in them. That those basic things were, I think, what made the biggest difference when I was in my own health journey.
Do you follow someone like online? Was there a doctor that you trust that you go, okay, this one, or a few people that you listen to and learn from?
So I think that's really evolved as I've grown. As a child, my mother is a nutritionist, and she followed Andrew Weil, and so we always had, his cookbooks and his media around when I was a child. And then when I was 100% conventional, I didn't know anything about functional integrated medicine. I did know who Mark Hyman is, which he's a household name in our country, right? And as I grow more and more in the integrative space, I learn about so many people. A lot of those people I've learned about them through Dr. Talks, who's, helping me put together these podcasts. I meet a ton of people in all the conferences that I go to, my integrative medicine conferences. So I actually have a super long list of people who are my peers who are, you know, influencers in a way, which I know influencer sounds like something that just Gen Z does, but no, I mean, they are really making an impact on our community and people listen to them. They give out a ton of free advice for free, and there's more and more people out there. I think it would be unfair for me to just name two or three of them because there's probably 50 of my peers that are doing this on a regular basis. And part of the reason I'm doing this podcast too, to also create content for people out there and get the word out, because it's obviously something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm so happy to have doctors like you that are also in the same space. So yeah, there's so much content out there. It's great to know that people can learn and advocate for themselves, and we're here to be on that journey with them, be their partners, and not to be a paternalistic type of medical care. Um, which I'm sure is the same way that you practice with your patients. You want them to be informed and to know what you're telling them about,
Yeah.
right? You were just saying they need to know their medications. So I'm sure we're on the same page as all of that. And it's always delightful to be able to talk to other doctors that are, um, you know, it's refreshing to know that there are people who consider themselves 100% conventional, but are very that they, like you, they understand what lifestyle means in our health, um, because not every doctor has taken a step back to realize that that's what they need to be educating their patients in. And I don't, like you said, I don't care if that doctor is an integrative doctor or functional or whatever you want to call them. If it's a doctor that's educating the person on how to make themselves healthier, that's the type of doctors that we need right now in this country. And all the specialists, all the subspecialists that do all their wonderful things with their chemo and surgeries. We need all of them, but we, as a community, let's say, we need to continue to grow in both places, in the very specific treatment that are very academic and very specialized, and how to treat the general population with more of, diabetes and all that stuff. So I love having people like you on my podcast that help me explain all these things to patients. Thank you so much. Before we leave, I do know that patients like, or people who listen to the podcast are like, wow, you guys talked about a lot. And I love people to take actionable items away with them before they leave. So if you want to share just three main things, if you're like, okay, people out there, what are the three things that you can take away from what we talked about today? What would the three main things that they could do for their health be?
Oh, I guess three points that I wanted people to go home with after, or listen to after this is your health is your responsibility, and that's not meant to scare you. Your health is your responsibility because you're the only one who knows how you're feeling and what you're doing and what you're not doing. So that's one take home point. And then two, find a doctor that you trust, that trusts you, that you guys have a great communication. Because if you don't have trust and communication, that's probably not a good fit. And then three, exercise is the most powerful longevity drug. Get out there and get your body moving. Think about your last decade of life and how you want to be living it.
It's 12 o'clock.
Oh, and think about how you want to be either lifting a suitcase and putting it at the top of an airplane when you're traveling, if traveling is really important to you. Think about how you want to pick up a grandkid if that's important to you. Think about how you want to live the last decade of your life and start preparing for that now. Because no one beats time. We're all going to age, so might as well have some great goals. Exercise is the most powerful longevity drug.
I love that. I love that. I love how aligned we are. And we just met today, but I think this is the beginning of a good friendship going forward. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Dr. Khan, and we'll talk very soon.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thanks for listening to Truly Healthy MD. I'm Dr. Monica Harrigy, and I'm so glad you joined me today. Remember, your health is in your hands, and every choice, no matter how small, can move you closer to feeling your best. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. It means so much to me. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay truly healthy.